Hello, BookTube. Well, as you can see, I have a guest. Once again, I am joined by Ann Novella. And this time, neither one of us are going to succumb to the temptation of browbeating you about all the writing you're not doing. We can do that on our own channels, on our own time. Instead, I wanted to follow up right away. No one on BookTube is free from me swooping into their mentions and saying, hey, I want to do a video about that thing you just mentioned. and you just did a video on a literary prize with a weird title. It's a title that's not in English the way it should be. I sometimes wonder, I wonder what kind of an American you think you are. So, would you care to sneeze out the title?
De Europese Prijs voor Literatuur.
Can you imagine such a thing? So
yes.
We're going to call it the Donoghue Prize. This is the Donoghue Prize in literature. Yeah. For the purposes of this video, you cannot possibly expect me to say that mouthful. But this is a fairly significant prize, right? This is 10,000 euros.
Yeah, it's 10,000 euros for the author and 5,000 for the translator.
So you did a video. I'll link to it down below if I remember. I will try to. If not, please remind me to do so. But you did a video about the long list for the Donoghue. Yeah. And I thought we'd go over.
I was really excited. Huh?
I thought we'd go over the long list again for people who didn't see that video.
Yeah. Oh,
maybe comment on it a little.
Let me look it up because I don't know it by heart.
The long list has an unbelievable distinction for me.
Yeah.
When it comes to literary long lists or short lists, this is a long list, and on the whole thing, there's only one book I've read, which is usually that is not the case for me at all. I think.
What did you read? Checkout 19, I presume, or Foster?
No, the Claire Keegan.
Yeah, Checkout 19.
I read the Claire
Keegan. Maybe it's important to tell the people that. So this is a literary award for translated fiction that came out in Europe, but that can also be English literature because everything has to be translated into Dutch. That's why there are 2 English novels in the list. So it's different than the International Booker, where it's global, but it had to be published in England, I believe. Yeah. In the UK.
Okay. But are some of these books on this long list still not translated into English? Or have all of them translated into English?
No, some aren't. No, some are not available in English yet.
Okay.
But you can be sure of it if such a long list, and it's a really good one. I was really happy with the long list.
I wouldn't know.
I've read about half of them.
For the first time, I wouldn't know whether it's good or not.
It's brilliant. It's really brilliant. Yeah.
So the Claire Louise Bennett, for instance.
Yeah. Checkout 19 was an excellent translation into Dutch. It was really good because it's not an easy book to translate. It's not an easy book to translate.
Do you sense any? Well, let's go over the list first.
Yeah, and then we have Perfect Days by Jacobo Bergares, and he's a Castilian author, not yet available in English. Then we have this one, Bob by Helle Helle. I read it today. This is a Norwegian author, a female author. Never heard of her, but I really enjoyed it. And this is apparently coming out at the end of this year in English. Bob by Helle Helle. This is about a very young couple that is renting an apartment for the very first time. It's the very first time from home. They're very young, like 2021. And how Bob, the boy, really tries hard, but there's once they are together, living together, there's not really a connection between the two. It's really well done. Really well done. Yeah, I love it. And then we have the Fishing for the Little Pike. That's coming out this summer. It's a brilliant, brilliant book.
Kind of a fantasy thing?
No, it's not fantasy. It's by Juhana Juhani Karila, and she is Finnish. And you know, Nordic countries, they like their trolls, their ghosts and the spirits and their mythical figures, and they take them really seriously. And this is a story.
Well, they can take them really seriously, but they're still fantasy. Right?
Yeah. But for them, but it's brilliant. It's so funny. It's written with so much love and humor, and also you learn quite a lot because the girl is from Lapland, and she goes back to her parents' house, and there's sort of a border, and they say when you cross this border, there's no insurance valid anymore. So your car isn't insured anymore. When something happens and you break a leg, you're not insured because it's Lapland. And she has to fish a little. She has to kill a little pike to save herself because there's a sort of a curse. It's so hilarious. It's really funny. The author really laughs a bit with the folklore and storytelling of her nation, and it's really, really well done. I really enjoyed it. Everybody that I talk to that has read it always start laughing when they
really. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder how well that will come off in translation.
It's not too difficult to translate, though. Wait. I have to put some juice. Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah. And then we have Foster by Claire Keegan. You know, the little beautiful booklet. Yeah, that's an amazing story. You haven't read it?
Right. I actually liked it. I thought it was.
I loved it. Yeah, it was really good.
Little dumpling of a thing. I mean,
yeah,
barely there at all. But at least I read it and liked it.
Yeah, but it tells a really good story about a little girl that isn't really wanted in her family, and the parents are pregnant, and they dump her at a farm with acquaintances, not really friends. They don't really know them. But she tries there. That little girl tries there, and I really enjoyed that book. Yeah. And then there's another one, War and War by Laszlo Krasznahorkai. That's already translated quite a long time ago, in 2006, and retranslated 2016 into English. So that's a double translation.
I'm trying to remember.
It's still available.
Did it have a US edition? I'm trying to remember.
I'm not sure. So that I don't know if it's English or UK or the US. That I'm not sure. But it has been translated twice. Once in 2006 and then another time in 2016.
Okay, so the Donoghue Prize doesn't have to be a new book.
But it's new in Dutch.
A new translation into Dutch. Okay, all right, okay. And then we have
the first time it comes out in Dutch.
Then we have The End of the Bees. Yes?
Yes, by Caroline Lamarche. She's a French-Belgian author, so she's from the Walloon part of Belgium, the French part of Belgium. And it's only available in French and Dutch for now. And apparently it's really beautiful, but I haven't read it yet. And then even if everything ends, I believe it is in English, that is translated to. Wait, let me see if I have the. No, can't find it, but I think it is. Oh, here it is. Even if everything ends, by Jens Liljestrand. And he's from a friend of Frederick Backman. So I think that's Norwegian, I think. Even if everything ends, Swedish, sorry, Swedish. And then we have Changer Méthode, not yet translated into French, but it's Edouard Louis, he's always translated into English. So
he is.
Huh?
Unfortunately, he always gets an English language translation.
Yeah, he does.
He and I don't get along at all.
Hate it or love it kind of author. And it's always the same. His themes are always the same.
Yes.
Poor little gay boy in
Poor little gay boy who is
area.
me. Poor little gay boy who is the author.
Yeah.
It gets so
it's always about him.
I guess he has fans. I guess that sort of thing has fans.
Yeah.
He will certainly get an English language translation. He will his book will certainly get reviewed in the New York Times Book Review. I guarantee.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Every book of his, he gets.
But if you have read one, you have read them all. That's sure. Yeah. That's true. And then the next one is from Poland, Saturnin by Jakub Maliecki, and that's about a sort of a prize fighter, wrestler, sort of type of guy, really a bear with a good heart, you know. So but he lived in a communist part of Europe, and so the secret services used him to do their dirty work, and he is really bitter after a while and disillusioned about the human nature, really.
So is it more
a really beautiful book?
Is it more of an action thing, or
no? It's really his. He's now in retirement, and he's really quiet, but in his head it's going round and round. But it's not an action. No. There's no action.
So a much more interior thing.
Yeah. But it's beautiful. It's really beautiful, and also his interactions with his family. It's also difficult for them to live with somebody who doesn't really. You know that something is wrong, but he doesn't want to talk about it. Like so many soldiers that come back from war zones, he has the same sort of PTSD thing. And then this one I've ordered, and it's Dunkelbloem by Eva Menas. That's a German author. Not yet translated into German. I have into English. I have the feeling that not many German authors are translated anymore. Not the really good ones anymore, like Ulysses. Have you ever heard of her? Yeah. But her latest
they're hardly represented in America at all.
No, it's not really, although there are very, very good writers in Germany. It's that and Austria, there are some very good writers there. So Dunkelbloem is about it's set in the western part of Germany around the fall of the Berlin Wall. And Dunkelbloem is a small town. And at a certain point, the Berlin Wall falls, and there are East Germans that coming to flee to West Germany for a better life, and something happens, and they find also a skeleton, and it's the pressure of being silent, the pressure of the omerta that is so pressing down the village. So yeah, it must be a very interesting book too. I really want to read that one. And then my favorite. It's coming out.
You lose control again.
Excuse me?
Here's where we see you lose control again, like you did. I love it when somebody finds
in English. The Most Secret Memory of Man by Mohamed Mbougar Sarr. He is Senegalese from origin, but he works and lives in France. And he has written a masterpiece, absolutely beautiful. So the story is about a young writer, And he has heard in his childhood a story about another writer, who Senegalese author, who published a book in 1938, and it was an overnight success. And people said, well, this is absolutely beautiful literature. It's really high end. But then the critics came and the fascists came and they say, well, it's impossible that an African, you know, who lived in a hut somewhere in the jungle is capable of writing such a high-end novel, such a beautiful work of literature. And then people say, well, no, it must be plagiarism. So, and then there's a sort of trial against for plagiarism, and the guy decides, I want to quit everything. So he leaves the country, and he disappears, and also the book disappears little by little. And the young author, wants to find that guy who wrote that book, and he wants to read the book because there's no copy available anywhere. And then at a certain point, he is invited to Amsterdam, where he meets another African author, and she has a copy of that book. And together they go look for the man, and they end up somewhere in the south of South America somewhere. It's a really good book, really well written, really fresh, and something novel, and so wonderful to see such a beautiful talent coming from Africa, from Senegal.
Now, you can probably guess my own reaction. I haven't read the book, and
no.
everybody else who watched your video, I now want to. But you can guess my reaction to the plot you just described, right?
Yeah.
On my channel, I am always railing against authors who try to critic-proof their books. My main character has a learning disability. I have that learning disability. If you criticize my book, you are a bigot. When I look at this book by a young Senegalese author about a Senegalese author who critics criticized because of his country of origin, I think you're trying to critic-proof this book. You're trying to say life imitates art. The critics, when they got hold of this original Senegalese book in my book, thought no one from this background could write a book like this, and now they're doing the same thing to me.
Actually, it is based on a true event. It's based on a true event. So yeah, it makes it interesting and fascinating, and but it's not his debut. He has written other books before, and he won the Prix Goncourt in France in 2020 for
He's
this
also,
book.
by an easy margin, the most physically attractive author on the list.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's
I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Cute little cute guy. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, but I love that book so much.
I wonder if there are any plans anywhere to publish that in America, in the U.S.
Maybe. You'll never know. I don't know how the American market works. I'm always a bit surprised by the things that come out sometimes. And
once upon a time, it wouldn't have been a problem. I would just have gone on Book Depository to get a copy, but they're not around.
No more.
All right. Well, we move from there
to another favorite.
Snow Dogfoot.
Dogfoot. Oh, that's such a brilliant book by Claudio Borandini, available in English and in America, I believe. I know Karen from Roving Reader has read it, and she absolutely adored it. So this is the story about an old man, not a nice man. He is a very, well, he's not a likable man. So he lives somewhere up north in Italy, in the mountains, and very, remote. And only during the summertime he can go down to visit the village, buy some groceries there, and then go up to the mountain again. where he stays all winter because he's snowed in. And at a certain point, when the snow is already there, there's a dog arriving. And that dog stays there, although he tried to shush it away, and he's mean to the dog at the beginning. But then he starts to have conversations with the dog, and then he keeps the dog as company. And then at a certain point, they find a bare foot in the snow, and it's up to the reader whose foot that is and what really happens, because at the end of the book you really have to say, wait a minute, what has happened here? And that's so wonderful about this book, because everybody envisions a different ending. They interpret the ending differently, and that what makes this little book so wonderful and magical. I read it at the end of last year, beginning of this year, and I was blown away by it. It was really good, really good. Claudio Borandini, Snow Dog Food, loved it. And then by Leila Slimani, she is known, I believe, in the States. No, Leila Slimani?
I don't know this book. I've read this author. I've read In the Country of Others.
Yeah, well, this is part 2. See Us Dance or Watch Us Dance. I think it is. No, I don't know if it's translated.
Watch Us Dance is how the title is translated. I don't know if it's available.
Watch Us Dance. Yeah, that's part 2 of the Country of Others. So yeah.
Do you like this author?
Never read her.
Okay, so
I don't hear that many positive voices. When I talk about Leila Slimani to Dutch readers, so I don't know. I am not sure if I.
In the Country of Others did nothing at all for me. Just sat there on
Yeah, that's what the other said.
But I wonder, do you see any similarities in these books? Does this list, for instance, skew mostly to very short books?
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's not this list alone, right? That's European publishing, maybe publishing in general.
Well, actually, this list this prize is put together by or organized by 30 independent bookstores and publishers. And they organize everything. It also has nothing to do with how much something sells. I believe War and War and Donoghue are quite long. Perfect Days by Jacobo Bergaresh, I believe, is also quite long, but I'm not sure. But it's always around the 200 mark, I believe, and with Foster as the shortest one, and Snow Dog Food is maybe 150 pages. But I really, you will love it. You will love. I think now, it's
in the Netherlands. How is this product followed? Do people
Excuse
know?
Me? Yeah. Because there's also there's a lot that is organized around it. So if you have a book club, for instance, with 10 or 20 people, you can invite for €100 the translator of the book that you really like, and they come an evening to talk about the translation, the author, how they work together with the original author and stuff like that. So it's they call it Translators Happiness, and because it's the only time that translators are asked for their opinion and for their modus operandi, and so the way they work, it's interesting to hear, and especially because I did translations myself, so I know, but it's really, really important for the translator to finally get some feedback and some because it's a difficult job. It's not just translating. capturing the author really, and his pen and his personality, and you have to translate it to a language that is not only understandable, of course, but also that is culturally understandable for the reader in another country. And that's what makes it so difficult.
Yeah, it's really good of this prize that they not only throw a spotlight on the translators, but widely publicize that the translators will also win money.
Yeah, yeah. And
These
are invited everywhere. They can be invited for €100, and the organizers of the prize, they pay the rest of the fees, and yeah, I think that's a really, for €100 when you're with 10 or 20 people, you pay five or $10, and you have a very interesting evening.
So apart from the money, which is really nice, does this prize change careers?
Yeah.
Those translators, for instance, will certainly get more work out of this, right?
Oh yeah, because I see that there's one like for the French author Kathleen de Verst. She is asked more and more, I see, thanks to that, because it's not her first nomination. So especially for smaller languages, it's important, like Polish and especially when you have French, for example. We translate a lot from French, and there must be quite some competition too between the translators themselves. So yeah, from German also. Most German books are also coming out in Dutch. So
there are better and lesser known names from the English language market on this list, right? Edward Louis has been, all of his stuff's been translated. Claire is known and has been in the US and the UK. Do you get the impression, would it be your prediction that a lesser known author will win? I mean, on this list, wouldn't you say that as far as an English language audience goes, Edward Louis, Claire Legan, and Leela Salami are the best known names?
Yeah, but they won't win.
They won't win. Okay, so that tends to be the drift of this prize, that it'll go towards lifting up someone else rather than just adding another award.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Oh, I wonder what that would be like. Do you predict, will every one of these books eventually be translated into English?
Well, most of them, at least 80%. I'm not sure, like for The End of the Bees by Caroline Lamarche. She's really small when it comes to Saturnin, maybe from the Polish, it's possible. Dunkelbloem, I'm not sure either, but all the rest, yeah.
Of the translator, just as a guess, because you've been in this world, if you had to guess, how many of the translators on this list would you say would also be able to translate the book into English if asked?
I don't think they would do that.
The publisher,
because you have to be a native tongue, does it always better, but it's often that a translator is raised with, for instance, a mother that is English spoken and a father that is Polish spoken. So they are raised bilingual, for instance, or they are Polish immigrants and they were raised in Dutch at school, and you really have to feel the language. Like, English is at first a very simple language to learn, but once you go deeper into it and you become a professional writer or translator, it's not that easy.
Frida is still working on it herself. I don't know why she's swanning like this. She ordinarily doesn't care. Something's got her attention. I don't think it's the Zoom call because she ignores what I do. I'm a loser. Uh, I wonder though, if you detect any favorite like prevalent themes here. It doesn't seem like there is.
No, it's a bit of everything.
It's like
There's some humor in it. There's some
there's humor, there's fantasy, there's actual plot-driven stuff, dead bodies,
yeah.
that sort of thing. But there's also, I mean, a third of the books that you talked about, there's a theme of trauma of some kind or other.
Yeah, but isn't that for all books?
Not for all of them. Well, I don't know. When it comes to Edward Louis, the trauma will be all mine.
No, but I mean for a lot of literary awards, book, it's about trauma.
What was his last book called? The History of Violence, something like that. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Like you said, they're all the same. But his last book, the honest to God plot was, when I was a teenager, somebody said something mean to me. Like, you're a best-selling international author. Let it go.
Well, hey, he's cashing in on it. Can you blame him?
Well, he is cashing in on it, but I do blame him even so. I mean, when I was stranded by snow in the mountains, my dog and I found a foot in the snow. You don't see me writing a book about it.
That's brilliant. That's a brilliant book.
It was Deb, and she was just sleeping.
It's a brilliant book. It's a brilliant book.
Before we run out of time here, you would know more about the books on this list than probably anybody on BookTube. Mm-hmm. And you've made no secret of what your favorite book on the list is.
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that that Saar's book is the only genuine masterpiece here? Is there anything?
No, Snowdog Foot is also a masterpiece. Absolutely. The Little Pike is really good, but that won't win. Bob, I really liked. I just read it today.
Well, that was going to be my finishing up question, of course. What's your prediction of what will win? Will your guy win?
I think so.
Yeah?
Everybody, not many people. It's not a known book. It's not a book that everybody knows. Like, what's now? It's not a Sally Rooney from our... but yeah, but you know what I mean. So it's not really well known. It's not like the marriage portrait, like for the Women's Booker, or so. No, it's people who have read the book are blown away by it. But yeah, I think it will win because he really deserves to win. It's really, really good. It's something new. It's something fresh. Snowdog Foot is also brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Now,
it would be weird
if your guy wins. Will the winner of this prize almost certainly immediately get a contract for an English language translation?
I don't know. Well, he already has.
Okay,
it's coming out.
Well, there's the money, but yeah. What is the fallout of? Let's say he were to win. He's a young author. What would be the fallout of him winning? It would change his career? Well, yes. He
will be at least invited more to literary events and stuff like that. That's for sure. He will get more media attention. That's for sure. You've seen every Saturday morning I go through my literary supplement, and he will have really again a 3-page interview. That's for sure. We have, like I've talked about this morning, Passaporta, which is a very important independent bookstore in Brussels that does a whole lot for international authors. They had Annie Ernaux last month. They had, what's his name, from Mungo and Shuggie Bain, Douglas Stewart. A lot of people stay there. A lot of authors stay there in residency. So like Emma Donoghue stays there 6 weeks a year. So yeah, that's for free. And they have a beautiful apartment in the center of Brussels. Yeah, it's he will get a whole lot more media support, and it will be easier for suppose that Bob from Helle Helle. I'd never heard of this author, Helle Helle, never heard of her. Suppose that she wins. Well, she will get a lot more attention, that's for sure. She will have the famous sticker, European Award for Literature, and then it's easier to sell your book to the American or English market because you say, well, we won a very important award.
Right. I'm curious to know how it works. There are a couple of names on this list that will be known and reviewed in America anyway, but the ones that aren't so well known that I'm curious about. This is a very xenophobic country, but it's not a very xenophobic publishing scene. American publishing has been more and more adventurous in going out and finding from
because there's a lot of fun, great stuff to discover in Europe and in the smaller countries. And what I've noticed that that I mostly talk about these kinds of books, and more publishers contact me if I know a little Flemish author that is really great, and so yeah, I just did that last week, and they asked to talk about their books, and yeah, so I think that's wonderful.
So before we run out of time, when is the winner announced? Does this list have a short list? Will we get a short list from this? Before the winner?